Welcome to the graveyard. I'm Violet Hummingbird, and today is day 12 of Spooky October, where every evening in the month of October I read you a true, scary story. And today's story is by Lawrence, and I also might add that I don't read these ahead of time, I just kind of scan them to choose the right story, so we'll actually be discovering the story together as I read. All right. The screen crackled and fizzled. I clicked new mail and an icy chill danced down my spine. It was the same feeling that swept over me when I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of a creaking door or a bump on the roof or an eerie tapping of rain on the window, a sudden, almost paralyzing sense of foreboding. There was another one of the messages in my inbox. Another email with a return path to my own address. I opened it. The message read, "Something's very wrong. Something's very wrong." Repeated, like all the others, for a dozen lines, without spacing. "Pain, help me." The last one read, "You are fried." The one before it. The messages were at the same time meaningless yet vaguely threatening. I checked the date of the email, sent at 11:20 p.m., July 3rd, 2002, Pacific Daylight Time. Nothing unusual about that, except that today's date was June 29th. If that wasn't unsettling enough, I caught sight of the phone line and network cable dangling like lifeless fingers over the edge of the desk. The PC wasn't even connected to the net. I left my apartment and ran through the night to a 24-hour cyber cafe on the outskirts of Hollywood, determined not to end up as a fodder for an urban legend or some online X-file. I spent the night in the coffee shop surfing the net, trying to find an explanation, preferably one that didn't involve the supernatural or the possibility that I was losing my mind. The first thing I discovered was less than reassuring. For more than 50 years, people have reported receiving messages, voices, and apparitions through electronic devices such as television, radio, and the telephone. According to the Instrumental Transcommunication, ITC, researchers, the agent Mulder of mysticism investigation, even such a rational and precise calculating machine as a computer is not immune to paranormal weirdness. Instead of consulting a gypsy psychic or a Ouija board to contact the poor departed, we should simply flick on a PC. Even spooks and spirits have entered the electronic age. Electronic voice phenomena, EVP enthusiasts, have long used ordinary tape recorders in quiet, secluded areas such as cemeteries at night to capture voices of the dead that are only audible when the tape is played back at high volume. The International Ghost Hunters Society has a number of creepy audio files it claims were recorded this way. In 1990, ITC pioneer George W. Meek lost his wife to a long illness. 3 months after her funeral, he claims he received a letter from her via his computer on his Luxembourg research facility. To support the validity of her ITC contact, the spirit of Mrs. Meek highlighted 3 private events known only to her husband, and the secretary Molly. Dear GW, well, it seems there are still people who do not believe in the contacts your friends here in Luxembourg are having. Hence, I will give you some personal details I know only to you and Molly. First story. In 1987, end of April, our tenant Debbie called to say her refrigerator was off. It must have been a Thursday morning. Second story. On April 29th, 1987, Anne Valentine wrote a letter from California saying she had not received the Magic of Living Forever booklets she had ordered, but instead had received a box of Harlequin novels. Third story. John Lathrop shut off the electricity at our rental house to put in the new yard light. He wasn't down there very long, but charged $20 service in addition to $40 for the bulbs plus tax. The charge seemed high. Don't try to explain this, honey. My never-ending love to you. I miss you so much, but I know we will be together. Love forever. Jeanette Duncan Meek. According to George Meek, the second item about romance novels was a complete puzzle even to him. When he contacted Anne Valentine in California, however, she confirmed that a carton of novels had indeed arrived mysteriously in 1987, and she still had no idea who'd sent them. For those who'd want to believe in all things paranormal, cyberspace has the potential to bridge the chasm between the physical and the spiritual worlds. But there is usually also a scientific explanation to most supernatural phenomena. There's always the logical voice of Agent Scully. With regard to EVP recordings, there's an obvious possibility of hoaxing or of accidentally recording distant human voices or wayward radio signals. With a networked computer, mysterious messages could originate from anywhere. This could even be true for computers that aren't connected to networks or phone lines. Van Eyck phreaking is a form of eavesdropping in which special equipment is used to pick up electromagnetic fields that are produced by computer signals, thus allowing third-party access to my computer screen. This electromagnetic radiation is present in computer displays that use cathode ray tubes, as well as printers and other devices. Depending on the type of QRT used, the sensitivity of the detection equipment, and the general level of EM energy in the area, Van Eyck phreaking can be performed over distances of several hundred feet. Using a sufficiently powerful transmitter, Van Eyck phreaking can make it possible for a message to appear on someone's computer from a remote distance. This would certainly help explain the appearance of the something's very wrong emails on my non-networked PC. Apparently, accomplished hackers are even able to manipulate this effect to get the computer to execute other programs remotely, such as activating a printer or a scanner. Even if such mischief wasn't being conducted deliberately, there's always the possibility that a computer is receiving misrouted network email or random Van Eyck signals purely by accident. This rational explanation, coupled with the first rays of morning sunlight creeping into the coffee shop, reassured me, and I prepared to return to my apartment. But there was still a distant, nagging doubt in the back of my mind that there may be a third explanation lurking in the shadows. One that falls somewhere between the rational and the supernatural. Call it the cigarette-smoking man, if you like. I recalled the words of Albert Einstein. Something's deeply hidden that has to be behind things. In 1930s, Harold Saxton Burr, a professor at Yale School of Medicine, began researching the role of electricity in living things and concluded, there is unequivocally evidence that wherever there is life, there is electrical properties, he contended. He contended that man, and indeed all life forms are ordered and controlled by electrodynamic fields. In other words, life in the human body, much like a computer, is to a large extent electromagnetic in nature. Therefore, it is possible that a life form exists that is entirely electromagnetic. If such a life form does exist and wanted to contact humans, the obvious channel would be through electromagnetic equipment, a home computer, for example. Exhausted, I called a halt to my investigation at this point. Later that morning, I traded my PC and changed my internet service provider, and the mysterious emails stopped. Whichever explanation you're inclined to believe, the truth is out there, somewhere in cyberspace. Or else something's very wrong. Alright, so let me know what you thought of that story. To me, it felt a bit more like an essay, but it was very interesting. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you have a true ghost story of some kind, and if you want me to share it, you can email me at heytherehummingbird@runbox.com. I'll put the email down below. And also, if you want to join me every evening in October, Be sure to subscribe and turn on your notification bell so that you don't miss another story. And thank you so much for being here. Please give this video a like if you do. I hope to see you tomorrow night. And until then, happy spooky October.